Police have been given more time to question a man arrested in connection with the murder of a Peterborough woman in 1979. Detectives now have a further 24 hours to hold the 58-year-old. The man is under arrest on suspicion of murdering 22-year-old Sally McGrath. He's also being questioned about 7 other serious sexual offences dating back to the 1970s.
MPs have been debating a bill which could see our clocks moved permanently forward an hour so it stays lighter in the evenings.
It's been proposed by the Tory MP Rebecca Harris from Castle Point in Essex. She says the move would help save energy, but not everyone thinks it's a good idea. Our political correspondent Matthew Hudson has more.
It's a campaign that wants us all to see the light. A campaign to get clocks put forward permanently by 1 hour, making our evenings longer and bringing us into line with mainland Europe. And it's a campaign being spearheaded by an MP from our region.
We really do know from all the evidence, and the Department for Transport doesn't dispute, that this would save about 80 lives a year on the roads, mostly children and vulnerable road users, kids between 5 and 15. And that happens because if you move an extra hour of daylight into the much more dangerous evening rush hour, it makes the roads a lot safer. And anything that can save 80 lives on the roads has to be worth looking at.
Supporters say the change would cut CO2 emissions by at least 450,000 tonnes a year, reduce crime, much of which happens after darkness falls, allow sports to be played until later, improving health, reduce electricity consumption by maximising daylight hours, and improve quality of life, especially for older people. If it goes ahead, our clocks would also still go back an hour in autumn and forward another hour in spring. Today, the bill promoting the idea received its second reading in Parliament. Many Eastern Region MPs were there, most in favour.
Today, as our cricketers are in Australia, will she ensure that the evidence recognises how frustrating it is to millions of cricket fans across the country when bad light stops playing?
But some with concerns.
But will she recognise the concerns of constituents like mine who experience greater antisocial behaviour in the summer months when it is lighter later already, and are deeply concerned that will continue to extend well beyond 11 o'clock?
But not everyone's convinced. William Brigham is a dairy farmer from Ling in Norfolk.
What we're talking about is moving the start and finish time of people's work, mainly. And, I mean, at the end of the day, we as dairy farmers don't want all the change. And I personally would like to see British summertime the whole year round.
Getting MPs into Parliament on a Friday when they're normally in their constituencies isn't easy, but Rebecca Harris got enough of her supporters here to make sure that her bill passed its second stage. It will now go on to be closely scrutinised by a committee, but at the moment at least it's still on course to become law one day. Matthew Hudson, Anglia News at Westminster.
Well, it's 13 minutes past 6. The Friday sports preview is coming up later.
Plus more on how the region is bearing up. Died in house fires in our region in the space of just a few hours. One died at Benfleet in Essex yesterday lunchtime, the other at Ickburgh in Norfolk.
It's prompted a warning from Norfolk Fire Service about the risks to older people from house fires. Ellie Price reports.
Friends reflect on a tragic loss. The woman, named locally as Maureen Battams, died in a fire at her home in Ashburton Road in Ickburgh, near Thetford, yesterday.
I'm absolutely gutted, absolutely gutted. Yeah, that wasn't something I wanted to hear. Gonna miss her terribly.
She lived in a semi-detached bungalow, but thankfully the fire didn't spread next door. Neighbours say they knew very little of the lady who lived at number 28 and that she kept herself very much to herself. They say the first they knew of the fire was when the fire engine turned up. Police aren't sure what caused the fire, but they're not treating it as suspicious. But this is the latest in a worrying pattern of fire-related deaths. Just a couple of weeks ago, 2 elderly sisters died in a blaze at Holme Hale in Norfolk. Norfolk Fire Service say everyone who's died in a house fire over the past 4 years has been an elderly person, often living in a rural area.
It's really important, first of all, to make sure that you've got a working smoke detector and just take some simple precautions in the home about making sure that you haven't got flammable things near something that's combustible. But we provide a service where we will come round to people's home, older people, vulnerable people, and we will check your home to make sure it's safe from fire.
The fire service hope elderly people will take notice of their message so that a tragic loss like this never happens again. Ellie Price, Anglia News.
2 men have been arrested on suspicion of murder after a man was found dead in a Cambridgeshire park. The body of 36-year-old Rikas Alinskas was found on Saturday evening in Holmes Park in Wisbech. 2 men aged 22 and 27 are being held at a police station in March.
A Chinese takeaway in Essex was ordered to close after 2 live mice were found in its noodles. Health inspectors found the rodents in a gnawed box of dried noodles at the Dragon Palace in Westcliff-on-Sea. 2 dead mice were found under freezers, along with mice droppings. Magistrates in Southend ruled that the shop must close down until it meets the council's hygiene standards.
Meals on Wheels drivers across Norfolk, Suffolk and Essex have been braving the elements all week to make sure food gets through to the elderly.
But with deep council cutbacks across the east of England, there are concerns that services like theirs could be under threat. Laura Burns has been out with a delivery team in Ipswich.
These are the wheels that bring meals to the elderly in Suffolk. The WRVS charity works 7 days a week, all year round, delivering around 330,000 meals a year to more than 1,000 customers, whatever the weather. In these conditions, deliveries are crucial. Peter has 24 to do today.
We have to make sure that the customer is obviously keeping warm, having hot drinks, which we advise all the while. If they are thinking of cutbacks, please think again, because obviously it is a lifeline to the people. They must have their meals, they must.
Harry and Gwendolyn Hammond are always pleased to see their hot pots.
I had an operation, triple bypass and a valve, and when I come home they said my wife was so good she couldn't cook. Only black, burnt the saucepan dry. You got to have one good meal a day. I'd be lost without them.
Each meal costs £3.55, subsidied by council funding.
Of course, the service is more than just about hot food. It's about regular human contact for the most vulnerable in the community. For some of them, the drivers will be the only people they've seen in several days.
You've got your favourite rice pudding.
Oh, thank you, do you?
All right. There we go, my love. Right.
You always bring your rice pudding, don't you?
But can the service survive council cutbacks? Well, in Essex it will be reviewed in 2012, while in Norfolk it looks set to transfer to private hands. Suffolk County Council says it's considering a range of options, but wants to offer choice and availability to as many people as possible.
We're very aware that all the local authorities are going to come under huge financial pressures. We're working really closely with our colleagues in Suffolk County Council and Norfolk County Council to ensure that the services in the future will continue in some form.
But people like the Hammonds are happy the way things are. Especially in miserable weather, seeing their food and the man who brings it is a highlight of their day. Laura Burns, Anglia News.
Very delicious it looks too. A former SAS soldier from Norfolk has run across Antarctica in memory of his wife. Tremaine Kent from Great Yarmouth ran 160 kilometres, enduring temperatures as low as -25. He's now completed the 4 Deserts Challenge, running across the Atacama Desert in Chile, the Gobi Desert in China and the Sahara. He's raised more than £16,000 for his charity, Carla's Angels, in memory of his wife, who died from lung cancer.